Today we'll be looking at the auctions ending in the third week of September, anywhere between September 20th to the 22nd on Sunday. We're gonna get right into it with this Orange Dream Enchi Het Clown, Het Sunset, Het Hypo Girl. This is a lot of power here. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but there's a lot in all those hets, especially being in a female. That's very ideal. There is a reserve price on this. As always, we don't know what that is, but I always try to say that you should bid to where you're comfortable and kind of just walk it on up there if that's something you want to do. But there's a lot of different options and avenues here. Sunset clowns. I mean, there's a whole bunch you could do, and when you miss, you're gonna still land among the stars. Obviously, you probably want to get yourself a male. Let's face it, if you were to get this animal, your male still should be very expensive, in my opinion. Pack him with some extra genes in there and get a clown hypo at least with a Het Sunset if you can find one. You know, just get what you can because you easily make that money back selling what you miss on, much less when you finally do hit the triple. If you manage to get the luck and do that, that will be awesome. People would be talking about the snake you make. Let's just say that for sure. Very beautiful. Just in and of itself, I love Orange Dream and Enchi. Just really crisp animals. But the power underneath with these three hats is just really where it's at. The cool thing about this is if this reserve was low and you won it and you needed time to source your male, there's still lots of avenues you could do with this. And on top of that, you can test for every single one of these. There's also bundles that you can do. It's a lot cheaper than buying each one individually, so why would you do that? Moving on to a snake we showed off in our live stream, and again, thank you everybody for joining in there. It seems to be something I think we're gonna do regularly. I don't know about every single week, but right now we're just kind of doing Tuesdays, but I don't know, we might play around with it. Maybe we do this one as a live and then upload a edited version of it on Friday. Who knows? Regardless, let's get right back into this with this Het, Red Axanthic Het Monarch. It's a proven male. Just a lot of cool potential here. Now, obviously, you usually would like to get the visual Monarch, especially in a male, but maybe you want to work the HRA into your projects. And I mean, go find me a Monarch Het Red Axanthic. You probably can, and not easily anyways, and not without asking some questions and paying some good money. Definitely a cool way to get into this, and if you don't have a bunch of money to just jump straight into Monarch, heck, he's proven. So, I mean, he's going to start creating animals for you right away. There is no test for Monarch right now, but you could raise some of the babies up that you create. They all have a 50% chance to get Het Monarch, and you breed them back to this boy. And by the time that maybe they start getting a little older, maybe there is a test, and then you can find out which ones are and are not, and kind of go from there. So, not the ideal way to do it, but definitely a cheaper way to do it. Or you just do this and get yourself a Het Monarch girl, go head to het, and cross your fingers. Next up would be this Desert Ghost Het Clown girl. It's if you want to start working for the Desert Ghost clowns, ideally your females, you want to be the ones that don't have the visuals to them. It's going to be hard for some people to fork out the money for a double het, even for a male, but you know, that's not everybody's forte. But maybe you get yourself a clown Het Desert Ghost boy with a bunch of other genes in him, and then you kind of go for gold here. So that would be pretty neat and much more affordable, quite frankly. Just always a good animal to have in your repertoire if this is the sort of projects you want to work, because you can always breed that male into her and pass on all those genes and create some still really cool animals. Everybody knows I love a Blackhead, so why not get a super Blackhead? So I absolutely love how dark and stark these are. Just the perfect, awesome, thick black line going down its back. Just absolutely amazing. And before we get too far, I do want to address the stamp here saying Double M Reptiles and the gear works here. It might look at first glance like that's not right, they're stealing that, but I did my research because I saw that too, and I just want you to see that this is just a rebrand and you are safe to bid on this. Feel no worry, Gearworks made it very easy to find that, so thank you for that. So let's move right back into the animal. Obviously, I love Blackhead, and the bonus here is that every single baby will be Blackhead that breeds to this. So there's a lot of different potentials here if you want to work it into a recessive. Obviously, it'll take a little bit of time, but it's guaranteed to get the Blackhead along for the ride. So if you breed it to, I will say, I used the Monarch as the example before. If you want to create your own hets, it's guaranteed to do that if you breed it to a visual Monarch boy, because you're always going to get the hets and you're always going to get the Blackhead. So you always are going to have Blackhead het monarchs, just as an example, but however you want to use it, Blackhead is a really popular gene, and it is very potent in what it can do. That's a cool potential here from a proven breeder at that, too. Looks like she last laid in 2023, 6 eggs, so that's a nice, good, average amount. You're never really going to need to guess at what you get. Everything will be Blackhead, so there's always some nice awesomeness to that. Like whenever I'm doing a project and I know that my supers are breeding, it's like, well, everything is this. It has to be. No bids, no interest yet, but this girl would be pretty much ready to go when you get her. This one is insane. A Redstripe Stranger Clown. This pattern kind of, I don't know why, just immediately reminds me of some of the stuff I see from boas. I absolutely love it. Just lots of chaos here, and a almost cheese-like block head. I don't know why it reminds me of some sort of like grilled cheese in the head, but the pattern is just wild. Absolutely love this. There is a reserve on this. It does not surprise me in any way, shape, or form, and there's a lot of interest. So bid to where you are comfortable. I think this one absolutely speaks for itself. Lots of awesome stuff you could do to this. I would want to do something that cleans it up, but I guess that is the word for it, like lace. Just something that would brighten it up, I guess. Just that would bring some more contrast to all the awesomeness that's going in there. Not take away from any of the chaos that you see, but just kind of bring some of that crazy contrast in. It already looks so like rustic. It's just so awesome as is, but I immediately can't help but to think how you could plug things in and improve this. It might be my favorite one on the auctions today. Just there is a reserve price on this. I think that you have about a day from when this video comes out to bid up to where you are comfortable. And remember, bid in increments so that you're not just left holding the bag when you could have gotten it cheaper, right? A very cool female at that too. So lots of awesome males you could put to that. If you don't get a visual clown to this, you better be breeding something else to create double hets. Our first group of this week's video would be this lot of 3 snakes, 2 females, 1 male. This is probably gonna end fairly cheap, but the reason I show this is because I like these videos to appeal to really anybody at any point. It's a female Enchi Pastel. She last laid quite some time ago, 9 eggs, and she looks pretty big. Probably from a breeder that just hasn't had a lot of use for just some more of the basic type morphs in their collection anymore, so I didn't really have a need to breed it. Another one here. Looks like the last clutch was 7 eggs, and also 2021. And then a male, which is a lesser Enchi, and he's really big for a boy, and you know, all of them are proven. So the females would be pretty much exactly ready to go. Looks like they might even be paired, like these actual animals at one point. So you could make some decent looking things with this too, quite frankly. So it's not just something that you're just blowing away nothing with. I mean, it could definitely sell at the pet level. And it's, again, it's incredibly inexpensive right now and not a lot of interest. The male, theoretically, you could eventually move on from him and you could actually use those females for a little bit longer. Even as you grow, you could still kind of put things to them and use them to create pet levels as you're still learning. And you can have a diverse level of snakes that you can offer to multiple people as well. Not a bad idea if you are trying to learn how to get into this all, or you just don't have a lot of money but you still love this hobby. This could be a way to do that right away. I love when you're able to create something so cool and unique that it basically looks like a peach sherbet or something. And that is what this albino clown Firefly Leopard is. So breaking into that, Firefly is fire and pastel, by the way, and then of course Leopard, which usually brings in a lot of darks, but the albino and the clown and the combination of all these genes has just really lightened this animal up. I think that the leopard, if anything, is just keeping it from being completely washed out, and instead you have this pinkish peach animal. I have seen too many that look like this, and I normally don't care for the albino clowns. I feel like they kind of wash out the pattern of the clown, and that essentially kind of is what has happened here, but they leaned into it in a good way. So instead of like something where you have an all-white snake, like a blue-eyed Lucy, what you have here is a red-eyed peach snake. It's very unique and cool. I don't know, other than creating more of these, where you go with a project like this, but I just think it's cool, and the bidding is incredibly low right now. It's not weak, and as a breeder either, it's got some punch to it, and as a pet, it's super unique and cool. Just definitely something cool whether you're in there for the breeder or pet level, if this works out for you. Here's one that's got some awesome power to it. That would be a fire Grail, and Grail is the combination of clown and lavender albino. And I really like the clown lavender albino quite a bit more because I think there's a little bit more contrast here. You can see here the head. A lot of clown albinos, I think, not every one of them, but some of them kind of blend in, and you can barely see the pattern, and they kind of just bleed into each other, I feel. But that doesn't happen every time, but I feel like with Lavender Albino, it is always, as you see here, for the most part, it is, there's a lot more contrast in the animal. There's less bleeding into each other, and you can definitely see a lot of cool pattern, and that is the case here, and the fire just really helps brighten this animal up. Very awesome, very cool. Being in a female too, there's some good interest in this one. You can expect this one to go for a bit more, but probably be a lot cheaper than what you would try to get one for general sale. Also from a very good breeder here. I think this animal is really cool, and the Grail projects are just so awesome. Like I said, this is the sort of contrast you get with these, and if they do bleed into each other, remember this, it's not going to be these two-toned yellow, it's going to be a lavender with some more yellows or oranges. So they don't kind of turn into a two-toned yellow, which almost looks the same, which is hard to see the pattern differential. There's still going to be contrast, even if it kind of goes away from the white, it goes more lavender. So it's very cool. One of my absolute favorites. I think there's a chance I'm very interested in this one myself, honestly. The price is very good, but the Mahogany Pieds to me are absolutely lovely. This one could also be GHI. I don't know. I mean, the Mahogany kind of does some very interesting things to this that could mask that in some case, and you can kind of see how it looks almost like it's paradox at some point, like this is just two snakes that were glued together here, and then look over here, it just kind of becomes way more bright. This is just a telltale sign of Mahogany. It does this all the time, and if you get the super Mahoganies, you get my favorite, some of my favorite of the Pieds, and that's the Suma Pied. I absolutely love what it does. It's because it's not just black snake, it's very dark, but it's black, but then has some of these varying patterns just like you see here, but even more extreme. So you get some like dark mahogany, like wooden type colors coming in, but then you also have some lightnings coming in. It feels like worlds colliding in a very picturesque kind of way. It's beautiful. And we're not even talking about the fact that it's possibly het Lavender Albino. So you could make Suma Dreamsicles? Has that been done? Even without the Suma in it, the Mahogany Dreamsicles are just so crazy looking. Like, look at that. That is like basically the same things as like what Banana does when it's with Clown. It's nuts. And that's not even a clown. It's pretty wild to me. And like I said, I think I might be very, very interested in something like this. And I love GHI. I don't know if that's in here or not, but that would be an even bigger bonus right there. So I think I'm putting a placeholder on this. Normally I just kind of watch it, but I'm so interested that I would like to just be along for the ride, right? So what this will do is it'll get outbid very soon, and then I will be told so, but then I'll also be told within an hour of it ending. So if I'm busy doing something, I'll get a reminder on my phone, and then I can jump in there and see, hey, what's it at right now? Is this something I'm still interested in? So very, very cool. Next up would be this Orange Dream Enchi Double Het Desert Ghost Clown. Being in a female, again, I had to include this because the price is very right. There is some interest, but not a whole bunch. And from the time this video comes out, it'll probably be about a day and a half that it ends. And what you're looking at is the potential to create DG clowns. And if you know anything about creating DG clowns, they are awesome and they are incredibly expensive. So if you're just looking from a monetary point of view, that it's a good project to go towards, and you get your male to be as much visuals as you can. Get yourself a clown het DG if you want to save some money, or a DG het clown, and then test anything that doesn't hit for the other one. And obviously you've already got some pretty good genes that are going to lighten the animal up already along with for the ride. Work very well with Desert Ghost. I would highly recommend you get yourself a male that also has yellow belly amongst some other crazy cool genes in there as well, so that you can try to get some just bright clean animals. Just so cool. There's not much else to say about in this one because the price is just really good. It all speaks for itself. I'm just looking at the future of what you can create, and again, the hets are in the right thing. They're in the female. If it was in a male, it wouldn't be worth quite as much. Might still be worth it for the right person. And we'll get into some het males here in a bit too, but this is very, very worth it if you're in the DG clown project, in my opinion. Back to Blackhead, because I can't avoid looking at any Blackhead when I see it. So this would be a Blackhead clown group. So what we're looking at here is a Blackhead het clown male. He is to breeder size. It doesn't say he's proven, but I can't see why he wouldn't be at that big. And I think this is him here, as that big of an adult, being that dark. These awesome flames coming up. That is really cool. Very nice. Female here. Looks like you have two females, roughly the same exact weight. They're both Blackhead 66% het clowns. Now I take that back. There's three females here. They're all 66% het clowns, and the last one is almost 900 grams. So they're all pretty darn close. 3 chances, and they're all good chances of hitting the het clown. You can send in a test for all of them. That's crazy. I mean, it's dark, but it's almost like sand-like colored. There's the variation here. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. Either way, there's a lot of good chances here, and you can send in 3 shed tests if you really wanted to be 100% certain. However, you have a very, very good chance for one of these females to be proven out. And then you are flirting with stuff like this. Now, this is also Leopard. Here's another one with that, but you can create some really cool dark animals that are just so awesome with the super blackheads. And that's what you're going for. And there's an incredibly high chance you're getting at least blackhead in any pairing, if not super. And we already saw what the super looked like earlier. When you're missing the clown, it already looks awesome. So very cool opportunity here for the right person. If you want to work this sort of project and you're just kind of getting started, you've got the room for something like this. You certainly should have the money, because right now, at least if it stays around even double to triple this, it's still very, very well worth it. And then again, from another good breeder. Actually, I drove once to meet them just outside of Indianapolis in a snowstorm. So that was very silly of me. It was a long time ago now. But I still have that male I got from him here. So had to show this one off. Tri-stripes, they don't come on here a bunch. There was a while where I was seeing a lot of them, but it's been a while. And I love the tri-stripes. They have this deep black stripe down them, and they're kind of called tri-stripes, I believe, because it's almost like you consider the side of it a stripe, the dorsal, this big black one, a stripe, and then the other side a stripe, so tri-stripe. Just the tri-stripe alone is an incredible that you can work. If you choose to work this thing, this is a very awesome gene that has not had a lot done with it yet, in my opinion. There's so much that you can do, especially color wise. I find this one incredible. Like these little perfect dots. It's almost like someone just like painted down the back of it, put a piece of little tape over there and there, and then just removed it. It's so cool looking. But being a recessive, it holds its value quite well. If you look at tri-stripes, you'll see what I'm saying. If this male stays anywhere near the hemisphere of this, and only one bid right now, I don't know how that is. Maybe it'll blow up near the end, but I think that this would be a very cool project for someone to work. Again, I don't see a lot of people doing this, and I don't know why. Make yourself cool, make yourself unique. If this speaks to you, that is, don't do something you don't want to do. But if this speaks to you, this is a great way to go. And it would be very unique because there's not a whole bunch of people I see working this. I mean, heck, I don't even really see a bunch of people at the big shows doing this stuff, quite frankly. I do see them, clearly, but I'm not seeing like a lot. It's still a project that you can get in on very close to the ground level, in my opinion. As we always do in the middle of our videos, we're going to show off the Hognoses that are available. And this is what you see for right now, for this weekend. That's what's going to be available. You can kind of get a quick glimpse of everything right from this screen, but let's go into a few that I'd like to highlight, starting with this boy who's going to be ending very soon from this video coming out. And he is an Arctic albino Anaconda, or Conda for short, 100% het Sable. So he is basically het for Sunburst, which Sunburst is a very highly sought after morph combo in the Hognoses. It's a very, very vibrant orangish reddish snake. It's absolutely incredible. And when they have the Arctics in them, it becomes even more awesome. Conda is what brings these more spots in as opposed to their normal pattern. And I really do like the Conda by itself. Sometimes in the super Conda form, it actually strips all the pattern off except for the head. So you'd still have this winged head and probably this little teardrop kind of coming out too. And then everything on the head, you'd still have that, but then the pattern would be completely stripped and you'd have this kind of almost like orangish, whitish type color only. Sometimes I don't like it, but when it's done right, I absolutely love it. The point is that this being a sunburst, I don't know if I would like it in a sunburst. I honestly don't think I would, because it would take all that cool orangey away. I mean, it would still highlight it very well on the head, which could be unique, but I think I'd like it to still like the Conda. I do love the Conda, just don't know about it in every single combo. Very cool potentials here. It does have a reserve though. Being a male, he could breed into a sunburst project for you, so still a lot of cool power there if you can beat that reserve. Here's another animal we showed during our live stream. This is a toxic Conda, and I absolutely love how silver this animal is. Just so cool, so unique. And you can see the interest on this has gone up, and I expect it to keep happening. The reserve price is still not met. And Hognoses can be a lot more expensive in some cases. There's not as many morphs to work with, and there's starting to become more of an interest in Hognoses, which is great, and they deserve it. They're an amazing snake, easily one of my favorites. And this one is absolutely stunning. Just so cool in silver. I would love this animal. I would absolutely love an animal like this. Really just kind of gets you thinking with this Axanthic and Toffee Belly. And I have Axanthic ones here. Well, I think I do. I have a bunch of 66%. And then I do have some Toffee Belly. So maybe down the future I can combine those and kind of work that project. But this would be cool. This would be very, very cool. Moving right along to this Zero Het Sunburst. And that is a really cool name. That's because it is a super Arctic. And it kind of creates this this very frosted looking animal. Lots of cool pinks, and look at this bruising almost type color. That's like purple. It's like one of the deeper purples I've ever seen. And it's like on top of pink at that. Very cool, and we shouldn't be surprised because it comes from JMG Reptiles, one of the absolute leaders, probably the leader in hognose morphs for sure. This one also is Het Sable, so it is also basically Het for Sunburst. So you could even improve upon this incredible, complex looking animal and create more vibrancy. Very awesome. This would be an absolute powerhouse of a breeder for sure. I remember when Leucistics were $10,000 when it came to hognoses, and they sold for that. But the cool part about this one is that it is up for auction, and there is no reserve. A Leucistic is a recessive, so it is something that you could work into a lot of other projects, being a male, and start creating some hets and kind of go from there. Now, with that said, I don't know if anybody's done much, and if it's anything like ball pythons, although ball pythons are not a recessive when it comes to that. What did you go from here? Can you change anything? Why would you change anything? The whole cool thing is that it's white, right? It's all white. Maybe it's a little different. Maybe you can change things. Maybe you can add a little bit of color. Maybe you can add some crazy pattern stuff and all, but wouldn't that take away from what it is? Regardless and pointless to that all, it's still a very cool morph. And if you want an all-white hognose snake, this is the way to get it, and this is the time to get it for sure. And finalizing our hognoses for this week would be this Arctic Conda Het Snow. And the snow is the combination of Axanthic and Albino. And it creates this animal that is kind of very faded with just ever so slight pinks coming in sometimes. And these bright red eyes, just looks like it's kind of snowed over in a way. This male here could breed into another het or a visual snow for that matter to create more of them for you. It is a very cool project. I love the snows. Again, something I have a chance to make myself here along with the sunbursts. So another opportunity if that's the sort of project you wanted to work for hognoses. Moving back into our ball pythons, we're going to take a look at this double het Hypo Puzzle. If you're working the puzzle projects, Hypo would be a great one to pair it with. Hypo is starting to be finally rediscovered, I think, as how awesome it has always been. But this could be a good one to pair with puzzle. Just a very cool animal, and if you want to work that project, because being in a female and also being almost halfway to size at 608 grams, she would be ideal for starting off a project like that. Now, obviously, eventually you want to add some complexity into the males and whatnot, but she could always be breeding and carrying those genes for you. I mean, if you get a double visual one day, she can still recreate genes and have some value for you. And in the meantime, you can use her to possibly hit that combo if you just want to create it yourself. Get a visual puzzle male, let's head Hypo. You're always going to get minimum puzzles, and then you have an okay chance of hitting at least one visual, and then you kind of move on from whatever male you had possibly, because now you have a better one, and you start working other genes into that as well. So very cool opportunity here. I think Hypo Puzzle would be a great way to go. Moving on to another whole lot of females. So there is a reserve price on this, but this would be 5 proven breeder females. This would be a good way to, again, add something for a newer breeder that's trying to learn, that is trying to get used to this all. And these are no slouches either. So what you're looking at is 2 100% het clowns, a banana cinnamon, an orange dream fire, and a pastel leopard 100% het clown. So clearly some clown heavy things, and the last 2 don't look like they're quite to size yet, but very, very, very close, with one of them right on the doorstep. Arguably, some people would tell you could probably even start right now and you know, by the time she starts feeding heavily for you, she'd be ready. But the first two are definitely, the first three, I'm sorry, are definitely ready. I forget there's doubles of those het clowns. Again, not for everybody, and it really just depends on what that reserve price is, but a great way to just immediately start production of animals and create a lot of cool pet level animals. And quite frankly, as females, depending on the male you put them to is really where it's all at, because that male is going to be packing a lot of genes, I hope, and being able to create a lot of awesome stuff for you. Here's one you don't see very often. Quite frankly, two of them you don't see very often in this one, but that would be this Mojave, Pinstripe, Nanny, possible Harlequin, and also 100% het pied female. So Nanny and Harlequin, everybody knows what Mojave is usually, and everybody knows what Pinstripe is, and you can kind of see those on display here, but you might be looking at this and saying, what is Nanny and what is Harlequin? Nanny is an incomplete dominant, and what it does is it kind of alters the alien heads, kind of messes them up a bit, and also on top of that creates a little bit of granulation. I would also say it lightens the animal up a little bit, for sure more than your normal ball pythons would be. I mean, this looks to be a big girl in this picture, and this is much brighter and cleaner than a lot of the other animals. And I love granulation type genes too. Harlequin is a little bit more subtle in a lot of cases, I'd say. They can definitely affect the pattern a bit and kind of create these little floating alien heads. So it's a little bit different there. Like I said, in this case, it's not quite so subtle. This one's actually looks pretty good. So if you wanted to work something that has a lot of potential to be pretty unique, this would be a good way to do that with the Pied project for sure. And looking at the sides, you can kind of see where that's coming in, especially with the Nanny, with that granulation it was talking about. Pinstripes are a little bit more clean than this, and this one looks a little bit more like smudged up. It's almost like it started to get erased near the bottom. That's probably why it'd be difficult to see if the Harlequin would be in there, because of how much this is doing. And if it's the Harlequin's all about kind of messing the alien heads up, well, Pinstripe's going to dominate the heck out of that and kind of hide that. So there's also a potential for that to be in there though, and you'd see it in the babies possibly. I think this one will end at a very reasonable price, being a het pied female. If you want to get something that is a little bit more unique and a conversation starter at that. Again, I always like to say that people will see these genes, Nanny and Harlequin, and ask you about them. And it's a conversation starter, and if you're creating awesome animals at that, they're going to ask about that, and then that's a good way to grow yourself as a business and to get your name out there. Nanny for sure is something I think would be very cool. I love the granulation stuff though, so that's no surprise there. Another one we don't see very much, and I don't know if I've ever seen it on the auction really, is this Microscale Coral Glow female maker breeder. So it's a boy, and Microscale is the one that I'm talking about being not too often seen on the Morphmarket. Now, Microscale is very similar in the idea of scaleless head. When you get two Microscales together, you create an all scaleless animal. Very cool looking. And you might think, well, I mean, those have been around for a while, so why are more people not making all scaleless animals, all scaleless ball pythons? And there's a very good reason for that, and some people think that you shouldn't even breed them. I am not one of those though, but I definitely think that they are not for everyone. An all scaleless snake has a bit of a different care regimen. You can kind of take everything you know about ball python care, and I wouldn't say throw it out the window, but you've got to edit it. There's more to it that you need to care about when it comes to humidity and shed. Shedding becomes a very important procedure, but regardless of all that, if you know and give the proper care to an all scaleless snake, I really don't see the problem. In some animals and some species, it's no problem at all, but in ball pythons, you do have a bit more of a care regimen, and you need to make sure that you look into and provide them that care regimen, and just realize it's more complex than your normal ball python. Now, Microscale itself, you can kind of see has missing scales near the head. It's this very similar to scaleless head. I'm not sure if it was proven to be the same, but you can see right here, there's no scales. I've also heard that the scales are a little bit smaller, hence the name Microscale, but I've never had one, so I'm not sure. I don't want to say one way or the other, but the super scaleless is basically the super Microscale in this case, and it would look very, very cool in Coral Glow. I know that, and if you've ever held an all scaleless snake, it is an experience. That is for sure. It is very different. I definitely recommend it if you get the chance. But this one, again, is a proven breeder from a very well-respected breeder in Royal Constrictor Designs, Garrick DeMeyer. If it's a morph that you wanted to work, I highly recommend you Don't just jump into it with no knowledge whatsoever, unless it's just the microscale you want to work. I mean, if that's what you want to go for, is a snake that just has a very unique looking head, then by all means, then just do that. But before you make the scaleless, please do your research just to make sure that you know and can provide that extra little level of care to them, and then you should be good to go. But this is the animal itself that you're looking at right here is high quality. I can guarantee you that. Here's what I was talking about earlier with a het male. With a het male, and this GHI Pastel triple het Hypo Desert Ghost Clown. As I said earlier, you want your hets to typically be in your females, but this is a triple het male, and triple hets are not always around, and they are very useful for creating what you want. And then once you get what you want, you usually want to move on and give the opportunity to do the same to someone else. Obviously, I love GHI and what it does, and honestly, I don't know if that changes as they grow, but the pastel in this just looks honestly awesome. This looks so good. It really does, just in and of itself. And the fact that you were able to create Hypo Desert Ghost Clowns, now those are very sharp. You could pair it with this girl here that we showed earlier. Heck, you could pair it with this girl here and just hope that you get the het sunset in something. That'd be really cool, because then you'd bring Desert Ghost along for the ride, possibly as a het as well. There's just a lot of opportunity what you could do with something like this. Now, if going het to het like I was showing, let's not lie, is kind of a roll of the dice for sure. And you're going to be doing some testing on the babies to determine which ones you want to hold back, because it's very unlikely that you hit what you want right off the bat. It's not impossible though, but it is unlikely. But for some people, if you've got a certain amount of money, that is the way to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just realize that the odds won't be as good, but they are possible. And you are flirting with the ability to make some insane fire things. And it might not look at it just looking at this animal, but if you hit what's hiding underneath in these genes here would blow you out of the water. Adding probably the brightest snake of this week would be this Yellow Belly, Redstripe, Orange Dream, Leopard, Fire Clown. And all of these genes work great together to create this. The Leopard and the Redstripe bringing some balance to the craziness that the Yellow Belly, Orange Dream, and Fire are creating. It creates an awesome bright animal, but still has some starkness to it, some contrast in the darkness, especially these little sides right here. You do have a faded dorsal, but that's kind of adds to the charm of it for sure. Lots of different power in this female here. I mean, right away, you're 2 genes away from the Pompeii if that's the way you want to go, but you also have Orange Dream and Leopard along for the ride, and Fire. You get yourself a spot nose Blackhead clown and you're in business. Lots of other avenues, of course, you could go here. There is a reserve though, so just keep that in mind, but just a really bright, awesome looking animal regardless. Another one here that's a lot of hets in the male, but still very cool. For the right person would be this GHI Hypo double het clown pied. He does have a visual hypo in him here though, so that is a bonus for sure. The ability to then create clown pieds on top of that as a potentiality, getting a female. You could probably get clown pied het hypo female for not something that would absolutely break the bank, and you breed that to them. And if you do that, you get the clown pied het hypo, maybe a girl with, I don't know, something else cool in there, maybe Mojave or something like that, to try to create GHI Mojave triple hets. But the point of the matter is when you miss, you're always guaranteeing that everything you get would be a het at minimum. So a good way to go about that, just a cool looking animal just by itself, and the price is very right in my opinion. Definitely a cool combo. I try to always show off things that could, again, like I said, fit for everybody, but I think this animal here could fit for everybody. I mean, as someone getting started, you'd probably hang on to this one for a little bit longer, but even for some semi-established breeder, if you're working these projects, you hit what you want, and then you move on from him and give someone else that opportunity. A great way to look at it, and again, in your male, so you'd be very quick to have him and make your chances, breed him to a few different projects, and then move on and keep what you like. Back to Blackhead. How many times I've shown this thing, this Blackhead, Orange Dream, Double Het, Desert Ghost Pied. The Blackhead and Desert Ghost, Orange Dream, I think all of those work together super, super well. The fact that Pied could possibly be in this, even better, just absolute chef's kiss. Again, not great ideally that it's in your male, but if you are trying to work Blackhead and Orange Dream into a Desert Ghost Pied project, you can do that by buying this male, breeding it you hit the visual and then you move on from this animal. That way you have now bred the Blackhead and Orange Dream into it. Just a good strategy, just as a quick turnaround to get these genes quickly into your projects. Because if you do the same thing with a female, you're waiting 3 years for it to get up to size. Yes, you are effectively using this male to how many ever females you use them to, and you could make the argument that'll take away what you could have bred to it. And maybe that is true, but this is a easier and cheaper way to go about it, as this would not be possible for some people with their budgets. Moving on to the last two here. In fact, these were added from the time we started the video, so I had to add them in. But this one here would be a proven breeder female maker, Banana Cypress Clown. Banana clowns are insanely awesome, as you're gonna find out very, very soon on our channel in the next coming weeks. And the Cypress gene is incredible when it comes to clown. So banana and Cypress put together, you get these just absolutely beautiful oranges in them. Now remember, this is a grown male, and he still looks this incredible. Just try to imagine what he looked like when he was a baby. And what are the chances I went to go search for a Banana Cypress Clown and happened to find their video? For all intents and purposes, maybe this is it hatching. And like, yeah, I'm just very curious here. We're doing a little sleuthing here. I'm just saying that the pattern looks, it could be the same snake. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but it is the same breeder. This is their YouTube channel here. Give them a follow, and you can see what you can create with this. So this male already looks awesome as an adult. No reserve on this. I'm kind of interested in this. I'm not sure if I'm going to throw a placeholder bid on here though, but I'm very interested in this animal. Just to see what you can create there, just the fact that you can get Cypress in there. I do have Cypress and I do have Banana, so maybe I just do this myself someday. I just kind of combine them. That actually, I think, has opened up some avenues for me, because I have a Pixel Cypress here and I need to create some hets, so maybe I kind of work that here eventually. It's just absolutely beautiful, and like I said, you saw what it could create. I don't need to say anymore. And our last one would be this pairing right here, which would be two black pastel pieds. So if you want to create the panda project, this would be a good way to do it. So a very low pattern. Almost looks like a paradox, but panda pieds do typically have a low pattern. So it looks like they might be pastel as well. For sure this one. But panda pieds are very, very cool, very, very dark. They usually have very high white and low pattern, which is honestly, in my opinion, a shame, because they have a nearly all black head with maybe one or two little spots of black on them. Sometimes you get ones that are a little more, but usually they're very low pattern and high white. There is one other thing with Super Black Pastel I have to let you know about. Unfortunately, they do have a slightly higher chance of being kinked. So a kinked snake is when their spine is deviated, and that can look a lot of different ways. Sometimes it can look very, very minor, and it can just be a little kink, and sometimes it's just near the tail, but kinking can happen in any snake. It's just more likely to happen when you get Super Black Pastels. Again, not a massively higher chance, but it is a higher chance nonetheless, so something that you need to consider, because I can tell you right now that there's nothing more to kick you right in the nether region, so to speak, than getting a snake that is not going to live, because now you've created an animal that is alive but can't live sometimes, because sometimes it's absolutely major and the kink is a literal 90-degree angle split, or it's a mountain range on the back, and there's no chance that snake is going to be able to move around and coil prey, much less pass it through its body in many cases, which is a damn shame. It's very sad when that happens. Trust me, it's some of the worst things that can happen from something that you're very excited about. So I just say have caution if you decide to do the Super Black Pastels, the panda pieds, and don't tell yourself, well, it won't happen to me. If you breed long enough, it's going to happen to you regardless, and it's going to happen more often with Super Black Pastels. I don't think it's to the point where I think it's something that we should necessarily avoid. I think it's something that you should ask yourself, do you want to avoid it? And that's good enough for me. If you have prepared yourself for the eventualities of having to call a snake, which means that you would have to end its life, then by all means. If you're not, or if that's something you already just don't want to take a chance on, then do the Sumapide. Sumapide is awesome, and in fact, in my opinion, it's better. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I appreciate everybody coming along for the live auctions. It is really cool to see that happen and kind of building a little bit of a online community of people chatting in there and talking to everybody. It's very humbling and awesome to see everybody show up and show some support there. So you can expect more of those for sure. Just again, I don't want to commit to every week, but we're kind of talking here and we're experimenting with a lot of different things and expect them to get better and expect more things on those fronts. So I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, you can actually check out a lot of the genetics we talked about right here.